Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be talking about mindfulness and how to incorporate it into your everyday. A great feature of mindfulness is that it allows the opportunity of practicing multiple times a day. It is the kind of practice that doesn't require anything specific. You don't need a particular setup. You don't even need a quiet place. You can literally practice mindfulness in any way, in any situation, in any environment. It really is all about you bringing your willingness to participate, your willingness to be open to the experience. This makes mindfulness really special, absolutely doable, and a practice for every day. A good place to start when beginning a daily mindful practice is to think about an anchor point. An anchor point is something that occurs with regularity, preferably every day. It could be something that happens once a day, like getting up in the morning. It might be something that happens multiple times a day, like eating. One activity I find helpful when it comes to anchor points, and it's pretty much highlighted at the moment, is washing your hands. This is something that we do more than once a day, something we should do quite often, and are probably doing more than quite often at the moment. Hand washing is quite useful as it uses more than one of the senses. I find the more senses you use in a mindful activity, the more bonded you become to that experience. When beginning a mindful practice, one of the first things we want to look at is the what of the practice. Basically, the what of mindfulness is paying attention. So we want to deliberately focus our attention. We want to be intentional about our focus. In the case of washing our hands, we want to put our whole selves into that act. There are a number of ways to do this. One of the simplest ways I find is just to think about it again in terms of those senses. So we want to think about paying attention or focusing on things like the feel of the water. The temperature, is it warm or cool? Like the flow of the water. Is it hard and fast, or is it soft and slow? Also things like using soap. The feel of the soap in your hands. The pressure with which you wash your hands. You can even pay attention to the ritual of washing your hands. You can hear the water, smell the soap. Also watch the water falling from the tap, watching the suds form and watching them go down the drain. There are lots of opportunities for the senses to be involved in this simple, everyday, multiple times a day act of washing your hands. The second part of mindful practice is how you actually do it and how we look at the actions with curiosity, with compassion, and without judgment. We do like to categorize things as humans, but what we are aiming to do through this process of mindfulness is being able to notice when we are using judgments, when we are asking ourselves if we are doing this right, or giving ourselves a hard time because our mind is wandering. Our mind constantly wanders, and people often mistake this wandering mind for not doing mindfulness correctly. They often give themselves a hard time about doing it right, or that it's just too hard. The reality is, if you are noticing, if you are aware that your mind is wandering, you are in fact being mindful. You are paying attention and are keyed in to what is happening in your mind. You can notice your mind being dragged away by a thought, whether it's a to-do list, or a thought about somebody else, or even a thought about yourself. You notice if it is judging, or even if it is a neutral or pleasant thought. What you can do then is gently, kindly, and with compassion, bring yourself back to paying attention to washing your hands. You can do this all within the space of 20-30 seconds. People often again judge themselves or are critical of themselves about the idea that this is such a small action, a small act in your day, a small practice. But the thing is, by practicing on something simple, something that we do every day, by starting to train your mind to look at your world differently, will really improve your ability to sit with the harder stuff when you need to. So I encourage you all to choose an anchor point, whether it's washing your hands, the first bite of each meal, or making a cup of tea. I invite you to make that point in time an act of mindfulness, an act of intention in your day. Thank you for listening, and have a mindful day.